Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys we'll be profiling my friend's Darklord deck. I love this deck to pieces, go Ixtab. But I hope you guys all enjoy this deck profile. It's actually quiet at locals for once, so we don't have to film in the bathroom. Enjoy!
Okay, yeah, this is just a fun deck. It can play at a competitive level to some extent, but I built this as a fun deck just to mess around with when I'm tired of playing the meta, so keep that in mind. They're called Bricklords for a reason. This is a nice field center, it's a flying fish. You must play this. Mandatory 3-ofs. Oh, let's start with the monsters first. Mandatory 3 Darklord Ixchel. She's the waifu, she's the heart and soul of this deck. She's what gets this deck going. She pitches herself plus any other Darklord card from your hand to draw 2 cards. Joel and Lockbird is really good against this deck, by the way, so if for some reason you play against Darklords, just Joel them. They'll probably lose. Or pick up right then and there. So all the new Darklord monsters, Ixchel, Nasten, Tezcatlipoca, and Amdusk, they all have the effect that while on field, as a quick effect, they can pay 1,000 life points as cost and target a Darklord spell and trap card in your graveyard and apply their effect, that spell or trap card's effect, as the monster effect. So that's how you circumnavigate the hard once per turns on the spells and traps. And then the spell and trap is shuffled back into the main deck. So you can recycle them, which is pretty nice. The next mandatory 3-of is triple Darklord Superbia. This is how you swarm the field and apply pressure. This deck is grave-centric. It just focuses on dumping huge fairies into the graveyard, special summoning them back, and just beating your opponent in the face with them. And it's kind of weird. Like, you can play this deck as like an OTK control kind of build or a lockdown build. But triple Superbia is mandatory. When Superbia is special summoned from the graveyard, it targets another fairy type monster in the graveyard and special summons it to the field, except for Darklord Superbia, so you can't loop Superbias that way. But usually with this deck, like a very standard play is if you open up like the Monsterborn Darklord Contact, or if a way to search this off of the banishment, you just pitch Superbia with Ixchel, draw 2, and then you activate this, revive the Superbia, and then use Superbia's effect, target Ixchel, and revive her. That's very standard play that comes up a lot in this deck. So these are mandatory 3-ofs, I think, in every list. I don't think I would ever cut these cards to any less. I play 3 Darklord Nasten. I've seen some lists cut this card to 2. I think that's perfectly fine. I just like 3 because sometimes with this deck, even with all its draw power, you still just don't have like a play Bricklords. At worst case, the 3rd one's an alert target. If you open up multiples, you can pitch Nasten to summon Nasten. Oh, Nasten's effect is that he can, as cost, pitch 2 Darklord cards from the hand as cost to special summon him straight to the field. So he's the only Darklord monster that can actually special summon himself straight to the field. So sometimes Nasten's the only way you have to put a body on the field and extend your plays. So I like him at 3. You could cut him to 2. It's personal preference. I played 2 Tezcatlipoca. This is usually standard at 1, but I quite like it at 2. Tezcatlipoca is a hand trap. It's like a Necroz of Gungnir. If a Darklord monsters would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can just pitch this guy and protect them. It doesn't activate, doesn't start a new chain link. It's just like Return of the Dragon Lords. So a cool interaction is if you have like a Darklord monster on the field and your opponent, I don't know, Raigekis it for some reason, and you have banishment in the graveyard, you can activate the Darklord monster's effect, copy the banishment, search Tezcatlipoca to your hand, and then just pitch it to protect this guy, since it does not start a new chain link. So this could go to 1 very easily, but I played Desires, so don't want to banish the 1/of. It's a 9 as well, or level 9, so you could make a Chlamydia or True King of all Calamities. I feel like that's a bit greedy though. I'd rather use the extra deck space for something else.
Slow burner joke.
Yeah. Yeah. The last. The next 2/of I play is 2 Zerato. This could also be cut to 1. As I said earlier, I just like to have more alert targets and to keep trading a bit more live.
Or he helps blow up the field as well too.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He's a Raigeki on field by pitching a dark monster from the hand. But then he has to blow himself up in the end phase. But that is why you combo him with Superbia. This is how you make your rank 8s. Yep. Or Link plays. I prefer the rank 8s.
Because you blow up the field and then you exceed into something with him. Yeah. That's how it works.
And just
are those the old secret ones from? Ooh, nice, fancy.
His first effect to summon himself with 1 tribute like literally never comes up. He's just a trading target. The only way he ever comes out on field is by dumping him to the graveyard and then resurrecting him with Monster Reborn or Superbia. The last big Darklord is Darklord Amdusk. I could even see myself cutting this card completely, but there are instances where it does come up. So Amdusk pitches himself plus any other Darklord card to target another Darklord card in the graveyard and add that target back to your hand. So he is a neg, but he does help you recycle your resources. At worst case, he's an alert target. I saw some builds early on playing 2 of this just to make Beatrice, but I feel like that's just
back in the day that was more of a thing. Not so much.
I feel like that's just a bit greedy. So 1's just fine. You could cut that if you want, but it is a Darklord name. And then for the last Darklord monster, it's triple Ukobak. This is very controversial. Well, maybe not controversial. That might be a bit too strong, but a lot of people only play 1 or 2 of. I like him at 3 just because I feel like he helps you like resource. So on summon, it's a Beatrice for any Darklord card in the deck, and it helps you access and resource basically any Darklord card in your deck. Because this is a grave-centric deck, you want to copy the cards. You want to copy effects from the graveyard with your Darklord boss monsters, and just to special summon other beaters from the grave. And Ukobak lets you do that. He's the only normal summon of the standard like non-tribute normal summon in the deck. Some builds cut this for Vanity's Fiend. I can completely understand that. I play Christia over Vanities just because Christia special summons itself, but I would just rather have my normal summon like extend my play rather than just like sit on a Vanities and hope that like my opponent can out it.
True. Plus you can bring it back.
Yeah, with
it's a trade-in target and everything else as well.
Yeah, it's also just, as I said before, just another older target. Last monster, Darklord Christia. Just talked about this. It's an 8. It keeps trading live. It special summons itself when you have 4 fairies in your graveyard. You can special summon it off of Superbia or Saryuja Skulldread. If you can establish a Saryuja with Soul Charge and a Christia in hand, you probably just win the game. Yeah, Christia says no one can special summon, and if you've got a field full of just really big monsters while your opponent can't special summon, in a simplified game state, like just having big beaters will like probably just get you the game in the end, unless your opponent's an above average player and they can get around. He's basically tier 2 nice cards. Thank you. Spells, this is all really standard, except for maybe 2 cards in here.
Oh yeah, those ones.
These are mandatory, the Darklord spells.
Or search out your, what was it? What was the burn one again?
What I like to do
with
Mantis Specters was it was technically a
they changed it to a Darklord.
Nurse burn, yeah, refuel. Yeah, for some reason, I don't, why would they want to make Nurse burn easier to play? Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, so triple banishment, triple contact, these are mandatory. This is your Rhoda for anything in the deck, any Darklord card. This is your Monster Born. It comes in defense position. If it came in attack position, that would be absolutely insane, but we can't have this deck being good. So I mentioned this earlier, the Darklord effects monsters, when you copy their effects via their graveyard copy effects, it applies these card effects as the monster's effects, so it circumnavigates the hard once per turns on all these cards, letting you search twice or Monster Reborn twice. For the draw power, Triple Allure, everything is a dark except for Christia. This is always live. Triple Trade-in, that's why I run the 2 Christia, 2 Zerato, 3 Superbia. It's standard in any deck that runs lots of 8s. 2 Desires, it says draw 2. You need to keep hand advantage with this deck because none of the draw power lets you plus, it just breaks you even. Desires will help you keep hand advantage. My 2 techs are Foolish Burial Goods. It's the same theory as with Ukobak. This basically just turns itself into any of the Darklord spell or trap in the deck. But this could easily be cut. I think I'm playing 42 in this list. I'm just trying it out. It's been pretty good so far. I could consider playing 3, but it is hard once per turn, and unlike the Darklord cards, you can't get around that hard once per turn. So just 2 for now. You could cut it. I'm just messing around with it right now. These boys, this is really standard. You're playing a Grave Swarm deck. So.
True. You draw and reborn.
For the traps, I'm just doing 2 Rebellion, 2 Sanctified. It really just triggers me that this is not a shiny card and all the other Darklord cards are.
It does suck.
This is a non-targeting Raigeki break. This is an effect Veiler that lets you gain life points equal to the attack points of the monster whose effect you negated. So if you negate, like, you can even negate your own monsters and just gain, like, an insane amount of life points. And since you have to pay life points as cost for your Darklord monster effects, this helps you extend and play a bit longer. That's the main deck. The extra deck hardly ever comes up.
Flying Fish.
Flying Fish. This is mandatory. The extra deck. The only cards you really ever go into are like Hope Harbinger, sometimes Felgrand, sometimes Lancelot. I often actually do find myself going into Zombie Stein just because it's 4,500, negates anything by pitching a card. And then the Spiders as well. These are just good cards. You can overlay them over the other dark. Rank 8s, Galaxy Package, Cypher, Full Armor Photon, and Cypher Blade. The combo is well known by now. Steal a monster, overlay over on top of that monster, pop a card, overlay on top, pop another card, and then link away. It breaks boards. Very good, very staple. The links hardly ever come up except for Saryuja and Underclock. This is just to help you clear your extra monster zone. And the attack reduction effect does come up a lot because all your monsters are absolutely huge. So you can just do like 2,900 to the face directly through a monster and then kill them again with your other beaters. So you just draw 4. Hopefully you get into Soul Charge. And then just for the other links, it's just the toolbox of Nightmares and Borload. So we have Borload, Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn. These are all utility. This never comes up. Unicorn. This pops back row. This pops monsters. If you're going second and you somehow don't get interrupted, establishing a field of 4 monsters to make the Borload. Borload will help you break your opponent's field. But yeah, to be completely honest, you hardly ever resource the extra deck except for Saryuja, the Galaxy Package, and Hope Harbinger. So the extra deck is very free. You could honestly just play a bunch of cherry targets if you wanted to, but I like the rank 8 control variant.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the extra deck. That's the deck profile. This is take 2.
I know, it was too loud for the earlier one. We apologize about that.
They're kicking us out now. So.
Yeah, so we gotta get going. But thank you, man, so much. I enjoy this deck very much, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care, and have fun dueling, everybody.